Hey guys, so today we have Jaime Conway from Real Estate Chicks LA. Jaime, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about yourself and just like getting to know you. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so good. Yeah, it's a good morning. Things are good. Looking forward to Thanksgiving with my nuclear family. But Thanksgiving is going to be different for everyone this year, but we'll see. I see you have a lot of artwork in the back of your apartment. Can you tell me more about that, or like where?
Yes, I mean there's some pieces where I have quotes of Andy Warhol. I've got some Bible verse wall decals. For me, it inspires me. Before I got into real estate, I was a graphic designer. And so art was a heavy part of my life. And so the piece over the fireplace, for example, is really, the original is life size. Like it would fill up this whole wall. And when I found that print, I had to have it. But the woman in the photo is releasing her shackles and putting on her crown in a cotton field. And it called to me. And then I've got one of India RE that's 3D when you put on glasses. I've got photos with my friends. For me, home is my safe place. And so I had to make my home feel like my personality, and everything doesn't go together, but I love it all.
That's so cool. I like that. So just whatever calls your name in terms of art.
Whatever calls to me, yeah. I have to surround myself with all the positive energy I can.
That's so cool. I love that. I love that photo with the shackles. That's beautiful.
I love it. It's my favorite piece now.
Yeah. People. Also, we'll throw all your information up so people can contact you and stuff. Understand you have like extensive real estate background and stuff, but before we dive into that, I wanted to just ask a couple of like more questions. Are you a coffee or tea kind of person?
I'm more of a coffee person for sure, but I just started drinking a lot of teas.
Oh, really? Like,
yes.
What
they
kind
have like a lavender tea, like all the yogi like line of stress relief and all of that. Because I'm the type of person where I can drink tea at night and still go to sleep, or drink coffee at night and still go to sleep.
Oh,
so
wow.
I've replaced it with tea so that I don't feel bad about it.
Right.
I like the warmth. I like the warmth.
Well, okay, I hear you. That's good. In terms of, so I know you're from the Long Beach area, right?
I'm actually born and raised in South LA, and then I worked in Long Beach for a few years.
That's what
but yeah, I graduated from Crenshaw High School. I'm from the hood.
Yeah.
And then I left. I went to the Valley. I was in Burbank for a few years, and Long Beach most recently. But now I'm in the Westchester area. So Inglewood's down the street and Culver City's down the street.
Excellent. Are you a beach or mountains type of person?
Definitely the beach.
Same.
Definitely the beach.
Same for me. What are some of your favorite holidays?
I love to paint, oil painting specifically, because oil gives you time to play with it and make mistakes. I love listening to music. During COVID, I've become very fond of virtual game nights where like me and my friends are on Zoom playing like random games like Trap Spelling Bee and all these fun things we found on Amazon. I guess just in general, I just love talking to people.
That's
and
cool.
helping people build their businesses as an entrepreneur.
That's great. I love that. So let's kind of dive into your background. So you said you grew up in, where was it again?
South LA.
South LA, cool. And then so high school and then college. Where did you go to college?
I went to college at Woodbury University in Burbank. And it was a business college. It's been around as long as USC, but it's also very well known for architecture. And that was where I got my start, was in architecture and design. And I called it architorture because you don't sleep for like 4 years. Even though it's a 5-year program, you don't sleep for the first 4. But after that, I started getting marketing jobs, and I ended up getting my MBA online. And then I got a second MBA. So I got concentrations in marketing and accounting and finance. My career started from there.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I saw on your LinkedIn, you're also a professor.
Yes, I teach real estate appraisal
That's
at Long Beach City College. And it was just spur of the moment, a class here and there, but it gives me those accolades as being a professor. Like I just feel so swanky and sophisticated. Like I'm just Zooming with like 6 people. Like it's good, but I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. How do you like that? Or how has that been during this season? Because like obviously teaching is so different right now.
Yeah.
Like as a college professor.
It's actually the same because they already had online platforms. Okay. And so what I've been fighting for is I want more courses. And because real estate, most of the studies are online anyway, the campus was trying to get people to come to City College instead of just purchasing the real estate courses the online way. And so I think bringing me on board and expanding the real estate program at Long Beach City College, that was just them trying to get people to come back to community college. But they had to go online, and now we all have to go online. So it was a good move.
Okay, excellent. How long have you been doing that for?
That I guess this is my third year. I just got on board doing it.
Oh, how did you get started as like, how did that start? Like, where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna be a professor.
Yeah, I didn't plan on it. I went to a young Black Democrats Christmas party, and my friend Kristen, who used to be my little office assistant, was the president of the organization. And we're just mixing and mingling, and the head of all California community colleges was a Black female. And we just hit it off at the party, and she's like, yo, you should really apply. We need more diversity. Yeah. I was like, okay. And at the time, I was just about to start a job in Long Beach as an operations manager for a commercial real estate firm. And so this would be right down the street from it. And I started them within 2 weeks of each other. So my whole life for the last 3 years have been on the Long Beach side of town. And I had never really been to Long Beach as an adult until then.
Oh, really?
I just never got on the freeway and went that far.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience. It still is.
Have you ever considered moving to Long Beach?
I considered it. And then the parking is interesting down there. You have to fight for it. And so it's like, I'm good. I've got my 2 little tandem spaces. I'll stay in my hood.
Yeah. No. I love Long Beach. It's so different. It's interesting.
I love the Pike and down there. I was down there the other day at Yard House enjoying some drinks. I was just so happy before they lock everything down again.
Right. Yeah. Yes, that's kind of just. No, that actually, I've been telling friends, I'm like, hey, you better go out now, enjoy yourself, before they close everything for sure. Again, and then reopen again eventually. Cycles. But okay, so how did you get started in real estate?
It's so interesting. What was I doing? I was in marketing. And my mom, and I was in a crazy marketing job where I was working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for a Hollywood hotspot restaurant. And I was doing graphic design and PR. And when a celebrity would show up, we would go in the back and take pictures. I mean, it was just so in demand. And so my mother called and said, my cousin called and said, your mom's not feeling well. But she's afraid to call you because she doesn't want you to have to take a day off because she knows your boss is kind of mean and she might fire you. Yeah. And so I was like, what? And that was like a Thursday. By Friday morning, my mom was slurring her words and I was terrified. So I lied. The restaurant I worked for had multiple locations. So I just lied to Beverly Hills and told them I was in Orange County, and I lied to Orange County and told them I was in Beverly Hills. So they didn't know where I was, right? But I had to take my mom to the hospital.
Yeah.
And she ended up having a gangrene gallbladder. She went into septic shock. Now she has permanent irreversible brain damage. Like our lives got turned upside down, and I needed a career that gave me the flexibility to control my time and to be there for her. I'm an only child. I have no siblings. And my dad wasn't in the picture. So she's kind of like my only family.
Yeah.
And so I started, and we loved real estate growing up. We would like go to an open house. No, we would go to the movies. It would be me, my mom, and my grandmother. And we would go to the movies. We'd go have dinner and lunch. And then we go to the rich neighborhoods, pretend we were rich, use fake names, and go to open houses and jump on people's beds. Like that was our Sunday. I loved it. Like that's all we did for like the first 15 years of my life. And so I was like, let me do it. And so I started studying for my license, and I Googled. I was also a designer. Like I love interior design, obviously. And so I was like, ooh, home staging is a thing where you can like design houses to sell. So I got into staging first. It was easier and faster and way more fun. And as I started working with people who were selling their houses for sale by owner, I saw the potential to decorate their house and then sign the listing agreement right after that. And that's how it all started.
That's so, I like that entry point into like,
that's how,
because the for sale by owner, I know a lot of people, they tend to like call them or like try to convince them some way to let you list their house, but it's hard to convince someone who's already decided on something. Right. So that's a good little like insight right there.
Offer the staging and do that. You gain their trust. You're in their house. You have keys, and while you're there, you can say, "Hey, I'm good. The photographer's here. Let's go over the comps.
Yeah.
Let's look at this so we can price it right. And by then you're agent, like sign here. Like that was my entry into it. I need to get back into doing that. I love staging so much. It's just so hard now with COVID. To do like we used to with no open houses.
Yeah, open houses look different. How are they? What's your experience and how open houses are looking like?
I don't think you can have an open, but virtual opens are a thing, and so that's. And Zillow always had it. Anytime I would have an open, you could do it live, and it would be broadcast on Zillow. So I think it's forced us all as realtors to think about how to deliver our content in a more meaningful way. And so the photography game, I might get into photography next for all I know, because that's what everybody needs now, photographers and videographers.
Yeah.
But you can't really do an open the traditional way and still be safe and feel safe. Yeah.
So with staging and stuff, that's something you like kind of offer? Or how does that work when you work with clients?
Yeah, it's definitely something I offer. It's so interesting in the Inglewood, Ladera Heights, Baldwin Hills area. You almost don't need it because your house is sold as soon as you list it. That's how hot it is here. In 48 hours, it's done. You're under contract. So you don't even need a whole lot of bells and whistles unless you did it beforehand, right? Like we start planning now to list December 15th, that type of thing. But in general, it's something I offer as part of the whole getting your house ready to sell. And a lot of it is just cleaning up. Some people just need to clean up and put their tchotchkes in the garage in a box. And we could just throw some pillows and some fresh flowers and call it a day. Yeah,
that's me. Me and so many other people have random stuff in their room.
Clean up.
Clean up, You ever watch Hoarders, the show Hoarders? Yeah, I usually clean up after that show.
Exactly. It makes you feel bad. Like, something wrong with me? Maybe a little bit. It's okay. It's treatable.
Oh man, yeah. That show's cool. It's very, I always trip out after I watch it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Love your personality. What's your Myers-Briggs?
Oh, that's right. Myers-Briggs, that's the INFP.
Yes. We'll throw it up there. And then your Enneagram.
I'm a number 1.
Hey-oh, throw it up there. The Reformer. Good stuff. I'll ask this question. What's a fear you have that you would like to overcome?
Ooh, that's good. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
I did not learn to drive until I was 30 years old. Fun fact. I was terrified. And I went to hypnotherapy because just the idea of getting in a car would give me a panic attack. So I got over that. It's been a while. I'm telling my age, but it's about 10 years now. But now I can drive on the freeway. Trucks are still scary. But I think now I'm digging deeper. It's not just about driving, but it's just having that confidence. And like, you wouldn't believe it, but I used to be very, very, very shy.
Really? No way.
I was shaking if I had to stand in front of a room. Like, it was so weird and awkward for me. And so I'm still coming out of that shell. I'm still, if we cold call and door knock a lot in real estate, or at least we used to. If someone would hang up in my face or yell at me, I'd cry. It was a high probability of me crying.
Wow.
And so getting over that and just being in the moment, not having too many expectations, understanding it's not my personal problem that they're going through something and they're yelling at me. That's something I'm still overcoming. It's still a challenge, but I push forward anyway.
Wow, that's so interesting. I would never guess that. Like I don't think anybody would ever know that or guess that. How could you?
Yeah, I was super shy.
Wow. How did you what was the shift in you breaking out of that?
I think I remember in high school I had to recite something from Romeo and Juliet. And I was always weird and I still shook. Like Romeo, Romeo, but my hand's shaking the whole time. And on my way to college, and I didn't really get involved. I didn't play sports and do any of that. And so on my way to college in the car on the 5 freeway, I had just made a decision in my head that I didn't want to be the shy person anymore. And I joined every club, every organization, I joined a sorority, I got a job, I was in school full time. I did everything all at once freshman year. And I think that's what brought me out of my shell, was just making that decision, not anymore. I'm going to be wild.
That's so good. I love that. You made the decision and then you took the action.
And took the action.
So you're it's like boom, boom, and then you just keep going. You keep going.
Keep going.
I love that. What are some things that inspire you?
Inspire me now. I guess my mother, she worked really hard for the government for 40 years. And just her work ethic she loved helping people no matter what she got paid. I think that's always admirable. 10 years ago, I met a guy at a jerk chicken restaurant and I was ear hustling, as I call it. Like I overheard them talking behind me at the table.
I love that.
Talking about creating an organization where they help business owners and entrepreneurs build companies that do good and do well, meaning you make money by helping people. And I overheard this and I got all in their business. And now fast forward 10 years, the nonprofit's been handed over to me. And I'm coming up with meaningful ways to teach people online, in person, maybe build a co-working space around it where I can do the same thing. And then look at my own real estate business on how I can make those changes so that I'm giving back. And so I'm teaching financial education prior to people buying. And yeah, it might take a little longer, but it's okay because I know they're in a better financial position than when I met them. That's more important because then they're more likely to keep their house than to lose their house if they have good financial habits. So things like that, it inspires me all the time. And I just, as I meet people in the social entrepreneurship space, I'm like, ooh, that's something I can do. Yeah. I can do better. And so I think that's really it. My mom and the social entrepreneurship energy.
Yeah, that's good. What's the name of the nonprofit?
Urban Social Entrepreneurs.
Oh, we'll throw it up.
.org.
.org. Yes. So, can you tell us the story, like the journey with that? How has that been?
Man, it was in the beginning. It was so dynamic. Meaning. My mentor at the time, the guy I met at the jerk chicken restaurant, Mishael, he was interviewing a guy, it looked like. and trying to sell him on the idea of coming to work for the organization and help him grow it and build it. And the guy at the table didn't quite get it, but I had just quit a day job, and I'd come back. Yeah, I had taken a trip to Hawaii, my first and only vacation, and that was 10 years ago. I need a vacation, and it just, something clicked. I just came back. I had a great tan. I felt this energy. And we started just going to every startup event throughout LA, Santa Monica, everywhere, and just telling our story and having meetups. And it was just $5 to come to a meetup. We were ironing on t-shirts in my living room just to get the word out. And we built a following of 5,000 people globally. And then it fell off. He has 7 kids. And so as his kids started getting into school and getting into sports, his life took over. And so that's when his wife just had a baby. And so he's like, Jamie, I'm just going to give it to you. You're the most passionate about it. You've always been the champion. And so now I have to, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm rebuilding the website, revamping everything. And at the time I would joke because he would walk into a room and there'd be maybe 500 people, and all those 500 people just start flocking to him like ants and a piece of sugar. And so I called him the infallible Black Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
Because he just has that magnetic,
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know if I have the And so I
You do.
But he just knew how to speak and motivate, and he got me, and I didn't even know him. He just literally sat right behind me in a booth at a restaurant. So that's how it all started. And now we're looking at, let's do some podcasts. Let's do some cost-centric marketing to match corporations and nonprofits, and go get behind a cause like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Like, let's do a whole podcast series. Let's latch on to a television show from a new producer that's trying to pitch to Netflix, and let's build something around it that's real on the back end. Like, maybe the show is a comedy about an entrepreneur. Well, let's carry on that conversation in a podcast format. Let's use this time during quarantine to be productive.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
That's beautiful. That's a lot. And then, they passed, the baton to you, and then so you have to steward over that, and then eventually pass the baton on to somebody else and stuff.
Someone else eventually.
Yes, that's so cool. What's kind of the mission of the organization?
It really is to train a new generation of entrepreneurs. I always describe it as a socio-economic spiritual movement, because once you understand what it means to do good, and the more good that you do by people, the money will follow. It changes how you think about everything. So when you go on a job interview, now you're expecting more of your potential employer. You almost put goggles on. Or every time you walk into a business, or you're watching a march on TV, I always ask, every time I see these marches, where are they going? What are they marching towards? What's the end goal? What's the mission? And so I want to position the organization to be that destination, right? And say, okay, you want change? Here's a way you can change. And then do it in our community. Social entrepreneurship is so popular around the world. You buy a pair of shoes here, and someone in another country gets a pair of shoes. I need someone down the street to get the pair of shoes in my community where they're struggling, because they're suffering and they're hungry here. I have homeless people parked right on Centinela outside. So I want them to get fed before the people in Rwanda.
Got it.
Being in that urban community.
More local social entrepreneurship.
Hyper local, yeah.
I love that.
That's the mission, teaching people to do that.
Yes, that's good. I'm always a big believer in teaching people how to fish.
Exactly.
So they can go out and catch their own fish, and then teach other people how to fish. And then it just keeps multiplying and growing, and the whole paying it forward kind of movement.
Exactly.
That's so good. Oh, I love that. I'm excited for your organization. I'm
got so much work to do as a one-woman show. I'm kind of doing all of this.
Yeah. No, I'm sure if anyone is interested in helping you,
hello, yeah.
Yes.
I think that's my first. I'm gonna rethink how we do co-working. right? If I can imagine a bunch of entrepreneurs helping me run urban social entrepreneurs and then eventually spinning off and building out their own little pieces. That's how I'm starting to put these pieces together and make these co-working spaces more meaningful, be able to teach and educate in a hands-on different type of way. And access to funding, all those cool things that we all need as entrepreneurs. I just want to do it so bad. So I don't sleep much. But one day I will take a long nap.
Oh man. So you mentioned that you've only been on one vacation, which is Hawaii. Yes. Which island did you visit?
Which island is that? Oahu.
Oahu. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, how was it?
Beach. It was wonderful. I mean, I didn't want to come home. And at the time, my best friend, he was broke. He had fell on hard times, and he was in Seattle because he went back to his hometown. And I called him maybe 2 days before I was going to leave. I was like, what are you doing the next week? And he's like, nothing, I'm broke. Leave me alone. I said, no, check your email. And so I flew him out with me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was feeling myself. But we had such a great time. And while we were on that trip, he got the call that he became the creative director for a really big hospitality company.
Wow.
And so he's been nonstop ever since. Now he's in Vegas, but he had to move to Singapore. I mean, it was great. His whole life changed after that trip, and I felt like mine did too.
Yeah. I love traveling because every time you travel, you never regret traveling. You're never like, oh, I wish like I didn't go on that trip. Like it's like, and I'm sure for him, that's even better because right after that he started working a ton. So
yeah,
that's perfect. Where do you want to travel to when the world kind of opens up a little bit more?
I haven't been to New York since I was in 8th grade. I want to go back to the East Coast. I want to go to Paris. I have friends that live there. Because my family's not very large, it's just really my mom and I. I don't really like Thanksgiving. My mom never cooked either. We didn't do anything. So I always said Thanksgiving's an American holiday. I'm going to go anywhere other than America for Thanksgiving every year. And then COVID hit. I'm supposed to be in Paris next week. I'm not going to be there. Where else? I guess Asia. I haven't seen, even though my friend was in Singapore, I always said I'm going to come visit and I never did. So the next time he goes back, I'm going with him. And so that's Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand. Just hit it all up. Philippines.
Yeah. Dude, let me know when you go. I want to join.
Right? Come on, Brian. Come on.
Oh, dude. I want to visit that part of the world. Like, very much so. Definitely the Philippines. That's cool. Okay, so so I'm going to ask you a question to like reflect. So knowing what you know now, if you can go back and mentor your younger self, what would you teach yourself, and at what age would you go back to teach yourself?
That's a really good question. I would go back to, let's say, age 17. I've learned so much about finance now, and there's a life insurance product, believe it or not, that grows in cash value.
Really?
And yes, and it's an investment product. It's called an Index Universal Life. I just learned about it like a month ago. Like, I am not an expert, but the way it grows, and it's like cheap. It's like $150 a month at that age, at 17. If I got it at 17, by the time I graduated from college, I would have been able to pay off my student loans.
Wow.
Right? And then from there, continue to let it grow so that by the time I'm the age I'm now, looking at 40, like it's on the horizon, I would be in a really good place in regards to forecasting my retirement at age 65. So I think just that setup for a good financial future, reducing your debt, helping that younger Jamie understand the importance of entrepreneurship, and overcoming those emotions I mentioned, where I get scared. And when people hang up the phone, I cry. Like, get over that. That just gets in the way for no reason. Like, if I could teach her that, she'd be a gazillionaire by now.
Yeah.
I'd be on TV. I'd be Oprah.
Oh man, yes, I love that. I'm so down for you to be the next Oprah. That sounds.
I
That sounds
so need to be the next Oprah.
amazing.
Anyway,
That's cool. I like that. Age 17. It's a very
17.
pivotal time. Like for
Start
sure.
investing. That was before Acorns and all those other things existed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, that's good. So you are, you teach marketing and stuff. If I gave you a voucher, for let's say 10,000, use it or you don't, and so you can't pocket the money. You have to use it. What would you use it for in your like marketing wise?
Ooh, a voucher for $10,000 for marketing. I would, right now, I always tell anyone I talk to right now while we're all quarantined, this is Super Bowl, right? This is when we have everybody's eyes.
Yeah.
And everyone's at home. We're like, nothing's on TV. What are we going to watch? So I would probably figure out a way to send some type of customized piece that isn't going to be thrown away, that people can touch, inviting them to look at something, to watch something. Just because I have their attention and we have no choice. We can't really leave the house safely.
Yeah.
So this is Super Bowl. So use those marketing dollars to get in the face of people while they're sitting at home, in whatever way possible, even if that means like online advertising. But I think the tactile, being able to touch something again, like a beautiful invitation you open and it pops up, something like that jumps in their face and like, oh, you want me to go to a website? I'm going to go to the website.
That's cool.
That stuff, I'd spend it on that.
That's awesome. Would you do for your real estate or for the nonprofit?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I know it's hard. It's like, which one?
I think I'd do a joint venture cause marketing campaign that bridges the gap, right? Like I can teach them how to manage their finances so that they can qualify for real estate, or they can build their finances to start a business.
I like that. That's good. I like that.
Come together, get creative.
Right. There's like, yeah, I really like that because there's a bigger like idea behind just like, hey, I want to sell your house. It's like, no, let's like help your whole financial like literacy.
Yeah. Real estate's just one investment entity. It's just one.
Right.
There's so many other options. And so even investing in a new business in an opportunity zone, people think you can, like if you buy a property in an opportunity zone, there's tax advantages, and there are. But you can also invest in a business in an opportunity zone and get the same advantages. And so just looking at the big picture, I think is the best way to go right now.
Definitely. We like to sometimes end with stories. Do you have any real estate stories, like from doing real estate? Like, give you a second to think about that. Yeah.
Like a funny one?
Yeah, a funny one, or maybe one that like taught you a lesson, or.
Okay, I kind of have one that's funny, and just I guess the lesson that it's going to be kind of funny and weird, but the lesson is going to be like safety first. Okay. So I have at this client earlier this year, and he's so loyal. Like I sold him his original condo in Long Beach, and then when he got married and grew his family, he was ready to sell the condo and buy a house. And so we're looking at things in a very specific budget, right? And there's a lot of beautiful, giant, gorgeous remodeled homes in a lot of really, really rough and tough neighborhoods. Okay. And so
Where was this at?
Exactly. The zip codes are 90001 through 3.
Okay.
So we're going to all these different houses, and at the time I had a day job, so I have to call in sick to the day job and pick him up, and I'm like, let's go. And so we're going to see all these beautiful houses, but as soon as we walk out the door, like there's either like a drug deal going down, or it's just something sketchy, or someone's approaching. I drive a Prius, so people are approaching my car thinking I'm an Uber driver. It was just so much. And so we walked into this one beautiful house, and we're going up the stairs, and you could smell something happening. And it was really a squatter. A homeless person was squatting up there, and he was mean. And so we're running down the stairs now. we're jumping in the car. And so he's like, Jamie, let's just get out of this neighborhood. Like, not here. And so because of the zip code being 90001 through 3, I nicknamed it 9000 no.
Oh.
Like, we can't do this. Like, it's not, he has 3 daughters. Like, it's not safe for them, right? And his family. And so I always imagine myself running down this staircase and hopping in the Prius. And then I'm like, no, I'm screaming at people out my window because they're walking up to my car because they think I'm an Uber driver. It was just this nightmare, stressful situation. Safety first.
Yes.
Safety first. Safety first.
I love the Uber part, or people think you're
crazy. And his 90-year-old mother was in the back seat. Like, oh, it was just it just didn't work out. But we did find him a house, ironically, down the street from his condo in Long Beach. We did all of that and ended up right back at home.
Sometimes it's not very far away. That's
what you got to do sometimes.
Right. It's right in front of you. You just don't. I love that. Oh my gosh. How was your first real estate deal that you ever did? What's the story of that?
Oh yeah, that was great. It was a good friend of mine from high school, and his grandmother, I believe, had left him this house in a nice area of Leimert Park. And when he took ownership, he did not understand that there were back property taxes. And although the house was paid off, because there was so much in back property taxes, he couldn't keep it. He couldn't catch up. He was still going to be foreclosed.
Oh, wow.
And so he calls me, and we were able to at least pause the tax sale long enough to put his house on the market. And I had 19 offers within 4 hours. It was crazy.
Wow.
Everybody wanted this house. Wow. And so we ended up selling it to this couple who has a TV show, or they had a TV show on HGTV, Flip or Flop. And so that house ended up being remodeled. It's beautiful. And I ironically sold the triplex right across the street from that house this year.
Oh, wow.
I went over there like, this is the same street.
Yeah.
And so that was my first deal, was working with those investors. He made so much money. He was able to relocate his family to be closer to his mom in San Bernardino. And then I literally just start talking to him. He's getting into real estate himself. And so he and I are going to team up, and I'm training him right now to work
awesome.
and help other people that are in similar situations as he was. So my first deal was so great.
That's awesome. You get to help. You got to really help him.
Yes. And he's trained. I literally talked to him yesterday. I'm training him on how to help people that were just like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's what it's about. That's, oh my gosh, that's rewarding.
Really cool.
That's really rewarding. Oh my gosh. Well, last question I'll ask is, were there any questions I didn't ask that you would like me to ask, or anything you wanted to share?
I guess you didn't ask what my favorite food was.
Oh my gosh. How could I forget? Jamie.
I love lobster ravioli.
Lobster ravioli. That's very specific.
Very specific. It's right across the street. Campari's.
Is it
it's so good.
Is it a restaurant?
Campari's is the restaurant, yeah, and it's it's no bigger than this living room, and it only seats a few people. But every Friday night, I used to go have one glass of wine, the lobster ravioli, and a side salad every Friday.
That sounds
and it was my dream. And now I'm mad that I have to do it in my living room.
Yeah. It's not the same. It's not the same. Yeah. One day though, you will go back.
One day.
Go back.
Yep.
They don't have outdoor seating?
No, it's too small.
It's too small of a place, yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, when they do, you'll have to send me a photo. And when they start opening again.
Yep.
And we'll celebrate with we'll give you
That's a deal.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for spending the time and just taking time out to tell the world your story and stuff. You're a pleasure to chat with, and look forward to seeing the social entrepreneurship grow and everything like that.
Awesome. Thank you. This has been awesome.
That's good. All right, guys. Till next time. Bye.
Till next time.